is Bob Selinsky. I'm with Reference Solutions, used to be called ReferenceUSA until several months ago, but same exact product, same company. They just rebranded the company name and gave us a new product name instead of ReferenceUSA. So let me make sure that we're able to see my screen. Leslie, can you confirm that you are able to see my screen?
Yeah, I can see it. Looks great.
Okay, excellent. So let me first go to Addison Public Library just to make sure everyone understands the concept here. So Addison pays for a number of different databases. We are one that they will have listed on there. When you go to the public library website, we're going to be under research. And then if you go to business investing, it's all the different databases they have related to business and investing. We're going to be on page 2. Once you click on this link, you'll get prompted to put in your library card info, so you'll want to have that handy. And after you pass that step, you'll have access to the different modules that Addison subscribes to. So once you do get passed through, this is the screen that you'll land on. Here's Reference Solutions. Company name is now Data Axle. Used to be Info Group. If anybody's has some familiarity with Info USA or Info Group, same company. We just keep changing our name for some reason. So here are the different databases that we have available. This is my personal account. Addison subscribes to every module you see here with the exception of US Historical. That's not a big deal. Don't worry about that. Tonight, we're going to mainly touch on US businesses. We'll get into the US consumer lifestyle module, and then we'll even touch on some of these like new business, new mover, new homeowner modules. So to get started, we click on, let's start with US businesses. This takes you instantly to the quick search page. This is fine if you're looking for a specific company name. If you wanted to look up every business in Addison, you could type in Addison, or maybe if you want to look up every business in Illinois, you could do that, do a reverse phone lookup. I always want patrons to get on to the advanced search tab though, because this is where you can really see all the different criteria that are available. So we're dealing with US businesses. You'll see that it defaults to verified businesses only, meaning we have a huge compilation office. I'm in Omaha, Nebraska. We have a huge compilation team that they're scouring the net. They look at different business journals. We get feeds from different cities, states, and counties when somebody files for a business license. They do a lot of telephone verification. So if a business is in the verified file, you'll see we have just over 15.8 million. That means it's an open location. You can call them, hire them, go in and buy their services, whatever it may be. We verified that they're open. We also have an unverified business file and a closed business file. Let's put that aside for a few minutes, but there's a lot of power in that data. But for now, let's just focus on the verified businesses in this left-hand column. So patrons, like I assume a lot of you are, who are just trying to get familiar with the database, sometimes get confused by the different elements we have here in the left-hand column. Everything that you see here, if we have that data, we're going to list it on the record for you. So when it comes to company name, you don't need to check company name to tell us, yeah, I want the company name in that record or in the results. You would only use company name if you're specifically looking for a company. Like let's say I'm looking for Ace Hardware. Okay, I add that. And then maybe I want to look up another company. I want to look up Bob's Hardware as well. So I have 2 company names that I'm looking for. That is the reason that you would use the company name option. You do not have to list that saying you want that data though. So that's just something to keep in mind. And again, the key executives, their titles, gender, ethnicity, if we have that data, it's going to be listed. This business type section, this is really the heart of what our databases run on. So if you're not familiar with what an SIC or NAICS code is, let me show you. And there's 2 ways to kind of demonstrate this. So an SIC code stands for Standard Industrial Classification. NAICS, the NICS, stands for North American Industrial Classification System. It's really 2 different ways of giving you the same type of data. SIC is a little older. NAICS is based upon NAFTA, so it's a little more current. It deals with newer industries. If you don't know the specific SIC or NAICS code that you're looking for, don't worry about it. We will list those codes for you. Just basically tell us what you're looking for. So let's say I'm looking for hardware stores. All you got to do is type in hardware. You hit search. And just like you would look in the yellow pages or run a Google search, you tell us hardware and we bring up all the different records in SIC and NAICS codes that are related to hardware. And you can pick the ones that you're interested in. So let's say I'm interested in hardware, NEC manufacturers, and I'm also interested in let's do hardware marine or wholesale, sorry. So hardware NEC, which means not elsewhere classified manufacturing, and hardware wholesale. These numbers that you see next to these 6-digit codes, that's an SIC code right there. And you'll see that when I first try to search, it defaults to search all SICs. If you want, you can switch it to NAICS. You also have the option of searching by the primary SIC or primary NAICS. So in this case, since I'm searching all SICs, hardware is a good example because think of a company like a Target or a Walmart. Now, do they sell hardware there? Yes, they do. But they also sell clothing, jewelry, food, cosmetics, electronics, all kinds of different things. So if I was looking just for hardware stores and hardware wholesalers, but I don't want Target and Walmart in my search results, I would put it on search primary SIC only, because what I'm telling the database is find me hardware stores that's the main thrust of what they do. If I put it on search all SICs, I'll get Target and Walmart in these results because I'm telling the database search anywhere that hardware comes up in that company's profile. So again, like Target and Walmart, yeah, they're a merchandise store. They're a department store, but they also do all these other things. So hardware would be listed among the things that they do there. Now, when I've selected these items here, they're in my box, my drop-down box of selected items. I can add to this. I could say, okay, well, I also want to find bowling alleys. So I could look for bowling. I could put in, you name it, pet food stores, whatever it may be. I can keep adding to this box here. You don't have to be hemmed in by just one type of industry or one type of code you're looking for. If you do happen to already know the SICs that you're looking for, and a lot of people that work for like a chamber of commerce and economic development department, salespeople that are always looking for the same types of industries, they may know what the SICs are, and they can just type those into the boxes there. So here's a really good way to understand the concept of what an SIC code is. So these are six digits long. So let's look at the first 2 digits of this hardware manufacturers is 34. So I have this other option open here, which is the major industry group, which is just kind of a hierarchy of SIC codes. So I'm going to go down to the 34 here, and I can see that 34 would fall under manufacturing, so 20 to 39. I click on the plus sign here. I go down to 34, and it shows me that that's fabricated metal product manufacturers. I'm going to expand that, and I'm looking for 3429 now. So here's 3429. You see that has to do with hardware NEC. I click that. And my full code is 342998. So that's right here. This one, I already have that selected up above, but look at all these other items that may have to do with what I'm looking for. They kind of all are grouped into the same sort of area, but they're very, very granular. So you can see we go from 2 digits, fabricated metal. I expand that. We're at the 4-digit level. It becomes a little more specific. So there's hand and edge tools, saw blades and hand saws. And I can kind of look in here and think, okay, yeah, hardware furniture manufacturer and clamp manufacturers. I can start to click on the ones that really make sense for what kind of search I'm trying to conduct. So just a couple different ways you can use the search options, and you can use these in conjunction with one another. So if I'm just looking for hardware and maybe some other hardware related options here, I can click on those, and it's also going to consider what I've selected up here in these boxes. It will use those in conjunction with one another. Geography. This seems self-explanatory, but there's a lot of different elements to it. You can use these all together. So I can do city state here, and I can tell the database, okay, well, I want to look in all of Iowa, and I'm going to hit this blue arrow next to Illinois. And when you click that blue arrow, it brings up an alphabetical listing of every city in the state. So I can start to look also for, like, let's see, I'm just going to pick a few different options here. So I've made a couple selections here. I've selected the entire state of Iowa, and I have 5 cities in Illinois selected. I can also do a metro area. This is going to depend on the population of the area. You know, if you're a small little town, you're not going to be listed here. You might be grouped in with a larger metro area. I'll show you what I mean. You guys will all recognize this being from Illinois. So you got the Bloomington area, the Champaign area, of course, Chicago, Naperville, Peoria, Mount Vernon. So this is going to be kind of those larger, it's going to be the city, the suburbs, all those surrounding communities that make up the larger, what's called an MSA, Metropolitan Statistical Area. So you can make your selections here. And again, it's going to include the cities and states that I selected here, plus the metro areas I have below. We also have zip codes. You simply plug in your zips. Same thing with counties. You can pick any county. It even gets as granular as saying, I specifically want to look in this neighborhood. So I'll show you how that works. We'll do Illinois. So if you guys recognize any of these, you can see these are all those, and this is all going to be realtor-based data. You know, the Realtor Association has defined boundaries of what they consider a specific neighborhood. You can even pick on specific neighborhoods. And street address, street address can be very handy. You can either be very, very specific and tell it, you know, I want to look at what's the business at 123 Main Street East. Or you could be a little less specific and say, I really just want to look on what's on, we'll say, 7th Avenue. So it's going to give me every business on 7th Avenue that fits whatever other criteria I have on there. So I could say, okay, show me all the restaurants and bars that are on 7th Avenue in this zip code, in this metro area, in this city. The phone section, you know, some people still like to look for, rather than using a geography, they'll say, hey, I want all the businesses that fit my criteria in these 3 area codes. Business size, this is also critical, especially if you're trying, you know, a lot of salespeople focus in on this aspect. So you can tell the database what you want to look for in terms of businesses, what type of industry are they in, which geographic location are they in, and then you can tell the database, okay, I really want to focus on anyone that has 10 to 99 employees, or I only want to deal with businesses that do 5 million or more in annual sales. And if you don't like our predetermined buckets here, you can do show more options and specifically say I'm looking for between 23 and 125 employees. Same thing with sales volume. The ownership section, so we're going to have public and privately held companies in the database. We like to stay within the realm of brick and mortar locations, but you will find some companies in our database that are largely online. But those companies, I mean, they typically have a warehouse where they store the goods. They have at least a home office where their executives, their sales staff, administrative staff works from. So yes, it's an online company, but they still have some physical presence out there. So we will have some of those companies listed in here. We have headquarter or branch. This is very good for people that want to find decision makers. So you can look for companies, just show me the headquarter locations, like show me where the headquarters of Target or McDonald's is. We have subsidiaries, branches, and then single location is the same as, like, think of a mom and pop shop, you know. So let's say you're looking for all the restaurants in an area, but you don't want Chili's, TGI Fridays, Runza, places like that. You just want the single location, meaning they're not part of a corporate hierarchy. They're not a branch of a large conglomerate. They're just like a sole proprietor mom and pop restaurant. And then we have home-based businesses and government offices in here. Home-based businesses will be included in your search results unless you tell the database exclude those home-based businesses, or hey, I only want home-based businesses in my search. Financial data, we'll skip that. That's pretty self-explanatory. Some people want to look up a ticker symbol or certain companies that are traded on a specific stock exchange. And then special selects, you can search by companies that just have certain a web address or don't have a web address, that have certain social media presence. You could search for the Fortune 1000 companies. Years in database, meaning how long have we known about them, and year established, like when did they come into existence. So let's run a search here so we can get an idea of what the data looks like and some of the different things that we can do. And again, for anyone attending, if I go too fast, you didn't see how I did something, you have a question, feel free to stop me, and I'm more than happy to we'll get that question answered right away for you. And also keep in mind at the end, we'll leave a little time for some Q&A. So let's do major industry group. Let's just start kind of general here. Let's do grocery stores and retail bakeries. Let's do the Chicago metro area. And let's say we want kind of on the smaller side, let's do anything with less than 20 employees. You can always hit update count here. That will tell you how many records you're going to be looking at when you actually view these results. This tells me there's 5,936. Maybe that's too many. Maybe I want to trim that down a little bit more. I could include sales volume on that to trim it down, make it a little more specific. Or I could tidy up these. I have kind of a wide range you'll see of maybe I don't want anyone that does muffins and cookie shops. Let's get rid of those. And that changes my count by about 30. So let's look at the results and get an idea of what we can do with the data here. So when we look at the records, you'll see it. Anything that leads with a digit in the name starts first, and then it will go, once we get through the digits, it'll be an A through Z alphabetical listing. It has the key executive listed, their address, the city they're located in, zip, and phone number. And this far right column is customizable. So it defaults in my account to show a corporate structure, meaning this company here is part of a larger corporate structure. I know that because it has this symbol here, and the up arrow tells me it's a branch, meaning it's pointing up to either the subsidiary or headquarters that is above it. If I found one that had an arrow pointing down, I would know it's the ultimate parent company headquarters. And if there was a blue arrow pointing up and down, that would tell me it's a subsidiary, meaning there's companies that are above it in terms of who their parent company is, and they have branches below them. I can also switch this though to, let's say I want to see the employee size of the business. So it shows me the range they fall within. You can also do the same with sales volume. And you can sort these. So let's say I want to sort them by zip code. I just simply click on zip and it sorts them into lowest to highest ascending order. I can sort it by sales volume, same method here. So it's showing me the highest sales volume locations. If I click it again, it's going to start with anything that doesn't have a sales volume all the way up through the highest level sales volumes. Same thing with city state, it's going to throw it into an alphabetical order there. And if I click that again, it's going to throw it into a Z through A alphabetical listing. So let me see if I can find one that has a corporate tree with it. Okay, so let's go into Aldi here. And I ran this search for all SICs, meaning anywhere that bakery or grocery store or those kind of surrounding type of industries come up in a company's profile, they'll be in my results. So Aldi is a grocery store. I can see where they're located for their address, their phone. They have a toll-free number, a link to their website, a link to their Twitter and Facebook pages. Here's what they do, and it's pretty narrow profile. I mean, Aldi's a grocery store, so they just have one SIC and NAICS code. The demographics tells me about this particular location. So they have 10 to 19 employees, just over 2.5 million in sales. It's a branch of a privately held company, and I can link to their parent company here. Been in our database for 8 years. Last updated on July 2020. Last update means the last time that we actually either added to this record or took some data away. So maybe we corrected their fax line, maybe we updated their SIC or NAICS code, whatever it was, there was some change when we verified this last on July 20th. They have a very good credit rating, hours of operation. Here's a map of the location. If you want, you could, drag the little Google guy on there and get an actual view of the location. Here, in terms of who are the main contacts at the location, we have their regional manager and manager. Company news, this is going to be, I think we carry up to 100 records that will display at a time. As the newer records come into existence, let's say there's an article on Aldi in tomorrow's paper, we'll add that one and the oldest one will fall off. But you can see these are all from today and yesterday. As you scroll through, it just kind of has, and you can click on these and actually see the entire article if you're interested. Stock data, since it's not a publicly traded company, there is no stock information on them. Business expenditures, this gives you an idea of what this location spends annually to keep their doors open, whether it be what they spend on payroll, their management, their insurance, their accounting expenditures. Just gives you an idea. Some people, maybe if you're in the, like you sell office equipment and supplies, you'd want to get an idea of, this is also something you could search from that main page that we were on. You may just want to deal with companies that spend $50,000 or more on office equipment and supplies. So this one would be eliminated from your search because you would have told the database 50,000 and up. This is what they have done historically in terms of sales volume and employee size. No UCC filings on here. Nearby businesses. So this is nothing to do with Aldi other than these businesses are in the same geographic location. They may be in the same strip mall on the same city block, but these are the closest businesses. And then here are their competitors. We'll spiral out until we find companies that match this location in terms of their SIC and NAICS code. This one's all very close in terms of the towns and cities that are around there. If it was something more like, think of a car manufacturer, a weapons manufacturer, something where it's not as commonplace, it would spiral out until it finds a different city or towns, counties, states where those competitors are. So it just depends on how prevalent the business is, how far this will spiral out. And then links to the job listings, so different jobs that are available from Aldi right now. And you can see these are, here's one in Addison, Plains, another one in Addison. So it gives you an idea if you're, and this is also linked to our jobs module, which is another offering that Addison Library has.
We had a request. Could you do a search like in here using like an Addison focus, whether it be like lawyers in Addison or just to kind of give some more local data?
Yeah, sure. Let's see here. So what I did there was I hit revise search, and that, so it takes me from, let me just show you how I did that quickly here. So when you could hit new search, that means all my criteria would be wiped out that I used to run this search. If I hit revise search, and I already deleted a couple of these, but it keeps all my criteria in place there. So if you wanted to add something like, oh, I want to change that employee size, or I want to add a different SIC code to the search, it's all still held there for you. But in this case, let's get rid of grocery and bakeries. Let's do So let's do lawyers. So I type in attorney here. So I have attorney selected, and let's do Addison. So Addison attorneys shows me there's 27 attorneys in Addison. So now attorneys are a little bit unique in that, like attorneys, dentists, accountants, we can list multiple attorneys. So let's see. So here's one. So Stringini, because we consider each attorney to be their own, each doctor, each dentist to be their own business entity. So, let's say it's a large medical clinic or a hospital. We will have that hospital. We'll also have the different doctors that practice at that location, just because each one could go and work on their own. They could join a different medical group. They're basically their own business entity. So let me see if, okay, so none of these are part of a corporate tree, which is not surprising since they're attorneys. But let's just look in here. Law offices of Charles Rohde. So similar to what we just looked at, they're attorneys. It's really all they do there. Link to their website, 2 attorneys at the location, sales volume, employee size, what they've looked like over the years. So it looks like they changed their name. They went from Charles Rohde Law Offices to Law Offices of Charles Rohde. So pretty straightforward. Let me show you guys the corporate tree data. Okay, so here's Aaron's. So from within the record, I could do this. I could also click on this kind of matrix looking thing. So this shows me in light blue, that's the record that we came in from, the one in Addison. It shows me, here's the parent company, Aaron's in Atlanta, Georgia. Here's a subsidiary, which is Aaron's Sales, Lease, and Ownership, which has dominion over this Aaron's location. And then let's see. So they also have a Woodhaven Furniture Industries. That's another subsidiary. I click on that plus sign, and it looks like that's just the one location for that subsidiary. So it shows you the entire corporate structure. You could click on any of these. They're all live links. And you can see what the PC means. So that's a parent company that's publicly traded. If it was a PV, it would be the parent company that's privately held. So let's just run a quick search here, and I'll show you some of the things that you can do with the data once you have it and you realize you want this data. You don't want to just look at it on the screen. You want to be able to have a record of it and be able to do something with the data. So let's just do retail and services in Addison. So it's going to show us at the bottom of the page. If you look in, it's going to be in red here. I think you guys are set at 250. My account is set at 25,000, but you should be able to download 250 records at one time, meaning just for this session, we're not saying you can only download 250 records. We're just telling you at one time, you can take 250 records. So if you have, in this case, 1,317 records, that's going to take me 6 downloads to get all of this data. Let me show you what I mean here. So I want all 1,317 records. I would click next to company name. You see that checks every record on the page for me. I scroll to page 2, repeat that process until I get to the number of records that I want to take. So I have 125 here. I click download. So step one, leave it common to delimited. That's going to be Excel. You'll be fine with that. Step two, this depends on the level of information that you want. So summary is going to have that basic contact info. Detailed will give you every data element. So when I look through that entire record, whether it's the company expenditures on accounting, office supplies, sales volume, employee size, web address, city, state, phone, zip, all that good information. I like to use custom just because this is kind of, once you get into using the database, you're going to kind of find some repetition in terms of the data elements that you always want. And you can save what that format looks like. Like right now, let's see if I have one here. I don't have one loaded, but you can name that certain format of what you want the data elements to look like. So you can see in these boxes here. On the right-hand column, this is everything that we assume you're going to want in your download. We search everything is a verified record. So maybe you know everything's verified. You don't need to know that it's a verified record. But here's all the different data elements that we offer. And you can see there's a ton of them. So you can either click them from here. So maybe I want the executive title and I want their phone number. Rather than picking through that, you can also use this box here and say, okay, well, I definitely want their employee size. So I just click an employee. It brings up everything related to employee size. In this case, I want the employee size of the location. And let's say I also want their sales volume. And I want to know like their top 3 SIC codes. So I'll get the primary SIC code, second SIC code, and the third SIC code. So there's everything that I want in my download. Now, maybe I want that phone number right next to the company name. So I can just click on phone number, slide it up there. And then let's say I want the executive title to go, along with the executive first name and last name. So there's everything that I want. Now I've positioned it in the order that I want it in. Now I have a couple of options. I can download those records, which will throw it into an Excel format for me. Or if I click email, I can send these to my business partner, somebody that I work with that I want to go through this list with. Just type in their email here, add it below. So you add, and you can do multiple emails. You can just keep adding emails and emails there. Now you do have to type in something in the message just so something comes through in the email. You can even just put in a letter there. And then you click send email, it will send that email. You could email them to yourself as well. Or if you hit download records, I don't know if this is going to show up. Sometimes it doesn't allow it to share on sometimes it won't share it when we're doing a Zoom meeting, but let's just pretend it popped up. So what it would do, it would show up in it would show a Excel spreadsheet with all the data elements that I just listed. So now I think I took 150 records. Let me show you what you got to do. So if I want the next 150, and you guys can actually, I believe, do 250, there's 2 options. And this is kind of a little cheat workaround. So the database doesn't download the same data again. You would need to uncheck the records, just by clicking company name and then go on from page 5 through 10 and grab that data. But one thing that you can do, especially when you get into, if you're doing 250 records, that'd be 10 pages of data because it's 25 records per page. So you could check 10 pages, download them, there's your 250. And to save yourself the step of having to uncheck all the records, if you just hit revise search, don't change anything. But after you hit revise search, just view the records again. All those check marks are going to be removed. And then I've already downloaded pages 1 through 10. I would just click page 11 and jump to page 11 and start that process again where I'm grabbing another 250 records. So just a little kind of inside tip how to cheat the system a little bit. Does anybody have any questions at this point?
Not at the moment, but at some point, can you kind of cover like why people would want this information, businesses as well as consumers? I know we kind of briefly touched on that, but a little more as to what you would do with this.
Yeah, definitely. So we find that Reference USA or Reference Solutions, it kind of goes in ways. Right now, I would say insurance companies are really hitting our database very hard. They want to find people to prospect to, companies to prospect to. It could be something like you're going on vacation and you want to find, hey, we're going to go down to Miami Beach. Let's look up ahead of time around our hotel. Let's look up all the hotels, bars, or all the restaurants and bars and um, museums or knickknack shops that are around our hotel. A lot of salespeople use this. Let's say I sell car parts. So I'm going to look for all the automotive distributors. I'm going to look for all the car lots, all the used car lots that might be interested in purchasing my product. A lot of people use it for research purposes. Some people are looking to start a business, so they want to find who are all the businesses out there that I'd be competing with. Or equally, let's say I'm getting into business and I make a product, but I don't have any way of transporting the product. I would want to find all the trucking transportation companies in my area and see which ones can I contact to see if they'd be able to distribute my product. Some people just want to find a physician. Let's say your parents are getting older and you're looking for a doctor that does a certain kind of surgery, or a doctor that specializes in a certain type of medicine. We have a US healthcare module that would handle that. So it's really just a way of, yeah, you can look things up on Google, but Google's only going to give you one type of result that you're looking for. Maybe you specifically want to find all the companies that fit. Like, let's say you're looking for 8 or 10 different types of industries, or 8 or 10 different types of SIC and NAICS codes, and you want to look in Cook County, you want to look in DeKalb, you want to look in Addison, you want to look in a couple of the lower counties in Wisconsin, all at the same time, to find out who fits your profile. And this is just the business component. Let's leave the business component for a moment here. Let's go back to our homepage. You can always get to the homepage by clicking one of our hyperlinks up here for our company name. And we have a ton of data on people at a household level. So I like to use the consumer lifestyle module rather than the white pages module. So this is going to be information on people, whether they own their home or rent. What do they basically spend their money on? What are their hobbies and interests? So if you look, it's pretty similar. Instead of company name, it's the person's name, their phone. Geography selects are all the same. It defaults to search for all people per household instead of just one per household. And then this section here, lifestyles. So let's say I'm a business owner and I'm looking for people that have an interest in the products that I sell, or I'm looking to start a business and I want to figure out how many people out there exist in the community where I'm looking to base my business. So let's do, we'll do Addison. I'm going to leave it on all per. And let's say I'm opening kind of like a sports, outdoorsy type of hunting, hiking type of store. So here's a list of kind of very large main categories, and they all have subcategories with them. So in this case, I'd go into outdoor recreation. Let's say I want to do camping, hiking, hunting, fishing, and maybe I'll even cover some of those like individual sports like golf and tennis. So I'm looking for people that have an interest in these recreation activities, multiple people per household if we have them, in Addison, Illinois. And it shows me there's just under 1,700 people that fit that profile. In every one of these categories, we score everyone 0 to 9, 9 meaning extremely high interest, 0 is no known interest. I'd say anyone that's scoring 3 or higher, there's some history of interest, past purchase behavior in that category. 3, 4, and higher is going to be significant enough that I'd be interested in knowing about those people. Right now, it defaults to showing you anyone scoring 6 through 9. but you can also specify, and this gets a little tricky. This will really smash the data down. So right now it defaults to search records that match any selected area. You can change that to records that match all selected items, meaning the people in my list would have to have a known interest of 6 or higher in each one of these categories. That's really fracturing the data though. So I like to leave it on matches that have any one scoring 6 or higher in these areas. And maybe 1,600, yeah, I'm interested in them, but if you wanted to narrow that down a little bit, you could always hit, okay, estimated home income, they have to have an income of, let's do 90,000 and up. And just see what that does to our count here. So that cut off 1,000 people from my list by specifying that income level. So let's view these records and you get to see an idea of what we carry on people here. So name, address, phone number, data. Let's go into Catherine Wilson's record here just so we can get an idea of what kind of information we have on people. So she's a female. We don't know if she's married or not. She's lived in her house for 37 years. Again, you can see the area that she lives in. Learn about her area. So the estimated home income for her area is 200 to 250,000. Home value is 450 to 500,000. This is good information for people who are looking to start a business. Just over 94% of the people that live in her area own the home that they live in. So it's a rather a sedentary population, not like apartments and so forth in the area. Here's what the census, the US Census data says about her area. And then here's everything that we know about Catherine in terms of what she scores 6 or higher in. So she showed up in our search because she has golf is in there, and we searched on golf, and that's why she showed up here. But these are all areas that she's scoring 6 or higher in. Same concept here. You can download this data. You can see the different scores that they have in the lifestyle criteria that you searched on, or anyone that you didn't even search on would still be something the database would pull up. Now let me show you, there's an area here called the Consumer Snapshot section. So let's say I'm also interested in a specific age range of people. So let's say I want to find people that are between 30 and 54. So there's 550 people that fit my criteria that are between 30 and 54 years old. But because I use something in the Consumer Snapshot section, age is considered a sensitive data element. So when I view these records, it's not going to show me that name, address, phone number info. It's going to show me the chart matrix table. This is still really valuable because it's a way of breaking down a large set of data. And even though we don't have, this isn't the largest set, I think it was about 600 records, but it's a way of breaking this data down and kind of getting a good overview of what we're actually looking at here in terms of groups of populations. So let's break it down by age, and let's do income. And I like to put this on smooth area just because I think it looks better. So here's the different colors stand for the different age ranges that I selected. And then down here on the lower the x-axis, you can see these are the income ranges. So I kind of like to pull these off just by clicking these. You'll see they go away, and I can fill them in one at a time. So here's my 30 to 34 year olds. And here's my biggest spikes right here in the 70 to 80,000 and the 100 to 125,000 area. And I just like to fill in the next age ranges. So that's considerably more people that are 35 to 39. 40 to 44 is about the same. So here's this is really my target demographic then. Not so much the 45 to 49 year olds, not quite as much the 30 to 34 year olds. These are my main 3 groups, 35 to 39. Actually, let's just group these all together. 35 to 44. Then we skip a range there and we go to 50 to 54 because a lot of nice income levels here, 100 to 125,000 for all 3. Also some nice peaks here in the 70 to 80,000 range. So this is visually looking at the data. You can also take this data and say, okay, well, show me matrix. I'm not as image oriented. I just want to see the raw data and break it down that way. And I could also switch this. So I have an idea of my income ranges, which are the highest, which are right here, the 100,000 and the 70 to 79. And I can say, okay, well, actually, now let's break it down by, let's do a zip code and income. So now it shows me the income levels and the zip code where they exist. And Addison appears to have one zip code. So it's the 101 zip code. And I can see that here's another nice peak here, 30 to 39. So it kind of depends on what kind of product you're going to carry for the income ranges that you're going to cater to for your sporting goods store. And then finally, you can do a table. And this will let you break it down by more than just two variables like we have. Let's do age. Maybe I'd want to sell children products if the market's there. So let's do age, children present, income. And I know they already live in just one zip code, but I'll put that on there. So here it's showing me, let's break this down. Let's do record count. I click it twice to show me the highest prevalence. So the highest prevalence is they're 50 to 54. They have kids, 100, 125,000. There's 21 records. So you can see this far right column goes in descending order. So a lot of these houses do have kids. I have to go all the way down to this level here before I hit no kids present in the household. Same here. So it looks like a lot of these households have children, or at least they're buying child-related products. And a lot of them are in this 100 to 150,000 income level. And again, you can always hit revise search. Keeps all your criteria there. Maybe I'd want to expand that and do some towns around Addison or different zip codes that are kind of touching the Addison area and get an idea for where those strongest markets are. So we're getting a little short on time here. Let me do one other module very quickly just to give you the basics there. Does anybody have any questions before we leave this, the consumer lifestyle module?
Not at the moment, but I will read them at the end if we get any.
Okay. So let's do the new mover, new homeowner. Just because there's a lot. Yeah.
Sorry. I'm just wondering, like, how does Reference cull the information? How do they determine households with children?
Good question. So the consumer lifestyle module is going to be based on a number of different information streams that we get. When it comes to the children component, it can be you've joined a birthday club for your child. You're part of a youth sports league with your child. It can be you've turned in a warranty card. Maybe you bought like a child car seat. You sent in the warranty card, so we'd know there's a small child in the household. It can be based upon child-related products that you're buying. So a lot of different elements. Other aspects of that database are, we get information from nonprofit organizations, wildlife foundations, magazines you subscribe to, lines of credit you have open. So a lot of different points of data get pulled in to kind of construct what a household looks like.
Thank you so much. That makes it a lot easier to understand.
Sure.
Thanks.
So let's do quickly this new movers, new homeowners module, just because there's a lot of people that, their business is based upon, I do landscaping, I have a lawn service, I retile bathrooms, whatever it may be. Most of the time when somebody buys a new house, that first 3 to 12 to 18 months is when they're going to spend a good portion of money on fixing the house up how they want it to be. So let's do the county. Let's do DuPage County, just so we have a nice sample of data here. So we'll do DuPage. I want probable or confirmed homeowners. And, let's say I've already scoped out the area and I know that an income level that would be up for my service starts at 100,000. at the household level. And then you can see we have other elements like what kind of financing did they get, when did they purchase it, the loan amount, move distance. Move distance can be good. Let's say, so think of a different example, like I run a church group or even the public library. You want to find people that they didn't move from, 4 blocks away to a different neighborhood. You want to find people that maybe move from outside your area that might not know about a lot of the things that you have in the town. So maybe you'd set your move distance at 15 miles or more. Or you can do the time frame that they move. Let's say I want to find people. You can either use our predetermined buckets here, or you can say I specifically want to look for this date in this month to, yesterday. So it shows me there's 4,448 people that fit that profile. It's going to be not as robust in terms of the information we have on the household just because it's new data. So we're not going to have all that data we just looked at in terms of their hobbies, interests. Do they have children present? This data, this gets updated every day. We're always getting a constant feed of records from either the city, state, or county assessor where real estate deed transactions take place. So let's look at Patrick Lyons here on Church Street. So what we know about Patrick is he moved from 8 miles away. It's a single family residence. He's a confirmed homeowner. You can see where he lives. It looks like there's the estimated income and home value. And Patrick is between 55 and 59 years old. So there's a lot of value in this data. And actually some real estate agents, because they're just smart, tricky people sometimes, they will use it in kind of a reverse way. They will say, I don't want to know confirmed homeowners and renters, or probable owners. I want to find people that are renting in the area. They may care about the income or not, but just the way the world is moving nowadays, they know that a lot of people will rent a place for 3, 6, 12 months, get familiar with the area, figure out where they want to live and do their home searching, just because, sometimes homes move so fast. You can't always just be on the prowl. Sometimes you want to just kind of get situated in an area and look for when a home pops up. So they want to find people who are renting and looking to buy a home. So a lot of value in this, especially again, if you work in an industry that, people spend so much money on their homes, that if you work in an industry related to helping those people, you'd want to find out about them as soon as you possibly could and be able to target the exact type of market, whether it's geography, age, how far they moved from, the type of home they live in, the home value, the home income that they have. Okay, so we've come up on 7:58 in our intro to using the database. Does anybody have any questions that I can tackle for you?
We do have one really good question. They say, there are a lot of people are doing business online. Is there a category for that?
There's is the question meaning a business that is only online, like it's an e-business exclusively, or?
I believe so.
So, again, there'd be a code for like e-commerce that you could search by and find a business that is largely internet-based or web-based. We would tell you whether the site has a web business or not, but again, we'd like to keep these records trimmed down to a brick and mortar location. And you'll find that almost every company has at least a location where their executives are housed, their sales staff is housed. You may not be able to go there and do business with them in terms of, I'm a customer, I want to buy something from you, but we would have a record of them because they're still operating that business, even though it's an e-business, they're operating it out of some location. So it would really depend on what kind of business it was, what kind of internet company it was. Does that kind of answer the question, or are they asking if it's an internet-based company, like they offer like internet services?
Let's see, like online gaming category, because gaming is big right now, as an example.
Yeah. So a company that runs online gambling, they would have a record in here just because they would have a large operation that runs the business. You know what I mean? Like you still have a lot of, it's not entirely the business that we interact with is online as a customer, but they still have people that go to an office. They still have an IT staff. They still have salespeople. They still have marketing people that are all housed somewhere. So yeah, we would have a record of that business for sure.
But a lot of those smaller online businesses pop up as like a home-based business as well, because maybe you're running an online business for your home, but you've registered your LLC to that address.
Yeah. So if you, we would distinguish because we work with the Postal Service as well. So we distinguish whether an address is a residential location or if it's a corporate location. And that's how we would determine if it's a home-based business or not.
Great, thank you very much. I think that answered all the questions.
Good, good. Okay, so we've hit 8 o'clock. I didn't quite get to cover everything I wanted, but that's all right. That's why we have next week. I will tell you guys one thing that can be valuable. I kind of touched upon how you can save your search criteria or your download format. I'm already logged in here, but in this section here, you would be able to register for a what's called a personalized account. So you could have your search results. If you're always going to be running the same search, or you want to save some results, you want to save some mapping you've created. You want to save the method that you want to download data in terms of the data elements that you want in your Excel spreadsheet. That would be located right here where you can register. And once you're logged in like I am, you can hit save searches. A box pops up and it tells me like, okay, here's Chicago retail. I ran this back in September of 2019. There are 82,000 records. I can click on this again and there were 82,599 records. Look at that. So it must be COVID related. Look at that. We're down about 750 businesses running the same search, same geographic area. So it just pulls up the freshest version of that search. So that's just a little tidbit for you guys that you can always sign up for your own personalized user account. You can always run searches through the library account. That's no problem. But if you have some data that you want to save, some search formats, you can register for that account. You would just log in and be able to pull that data up. All right, Leslie. So if you have anything, now's the time. If not, I can sign off and will hopefully see this group and the more advanced users next Wednesday night.